Hello, Leo. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, Leo. So a little difficult, but I understand it. Like I get it. Okay, so now from Lay Vampire, you pulled the past to prison, bitterness, grudge, and refusal to let go. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled quest. Now, the past to prison can definitely point to something from the past that you cannot let go of. And again, I mentioned this a lot with this card, the spiders and the webs. And what's funny is, you're looking at a Black Widow here, so it's like poisonous shit that's been with you for far too long, right? Now, the other part of the past to prison really does talk about, the bitterness of somebody else that's being put on you and you needing to break yourself free of that. Now, with quest, it can show that, whatever bitterness that somebody else is putting on you is making you feel like you need to take a path that is unnecessary. Quest also talks about how you may feel like your life is happening somewhere else. So right now your life has no meaning, but it will when you're somewhere else, and that's not accurate, right? It's basically saying that you're taking an unnecessary quest or unnecessary path right now. And it may be because for some of you, you have, this bitterness being put on you. All right, Leo. Sorry, guys, trying to be a perfectionist here. Here is your overall for the week. The Eight of Pentacles. So this could be about a work situation. Some of you are busting your ass right now. But, the other thing, too, with the Eight of Pentacles is being too focused on work. Possibly. But really, the Eight of Pentacles can show that somebody is, really enjoying what they're doing. But, normally I think of, man, somebody is working really hard at something here. Now, in the past, the Page of Wands. And that's good. As far as the Page of Wands for you, in terms of the past, it shows that, there may have been like a door opening here. There could have been like good news coming through that made you want to take a new path, right? The Page of Wands is all about going forward with enthusiasm and excitement, despite the fact that you may not have experience in what you're going after. That is the Page of Wands. Very closely related to the Fool, but it's not a matter of faith here. It's about going forward with enthusiasm and excitement. But, normally when I see this page, when you're talking about, the messengers, it's saying that good news came through that opened the door for you to do this in the first place. And it may be, something that came through here that you're really wanting to put a lot of effort into. Now, wow, what's up? What is up with her? You guys aren't the only ones to get her here. So now the Queen of Swords in the present. We can be talking about somebody that you're dealing with here, and it could be an air sign, right? But this is really about somebody who could be like difficult to deal with. They might have like a tolerance issue. Now, it could definitely be talking to you, though, as far as how you're feeling. It's almost like, taking this new path here, but then things not really going that well, and you learning some harsh lessons about it, and becoming a little bit cutthroat. That or you're dealing with somebody like this. And, I like the Queen of Swords, right? She's smart. She calls it for what it is, but it's her past that can point to a lot of difficulties. Oh boy. Oh, future conditions, the Emperor. Now, definitely, if the Queen of Swords is representing you, I can understand. It's almost like putting a lot of hard work and effort into, something that sounded good in the past, but then, again, it's like, and it's like doubled for me looking at both of them, the Queen of Swords and the Emperor. You could be dealing with somebody here who is like really dominant. Like really dominant. The Emperor, he's in control of his own domain. He is exerting his will onto, his surroundings, right? It's all about control. Control and order, law and order. Control out of chaos. And for some of you, yeah, it could represent a boss and maybe one that's difficult to deal with. But overall, though, with the Eight of Pentacles, it's really about, the hard work that you're putting through. If you have somebody constantly on your back and breathing down your neck, do you really want to continue to put in the effort? Which may be why you're coming in as the Queen of Swords, like damn it, I'm tired of dealing with the bullshit at work, is what it feels like. And yet you're still continuing to deal with like a really dominant person that's like, again, breathing down your neck. Is, you know, immediately what I feel like. Like, why are you watching everything I'm doing? You know? Man. But with the Emperor being there, though, too, in terms of Leo, you know, again, it's about you getting control over what is happening in your own world. Especially in terms of work. Your best path to follow, the Six of Swords, you know, maybe it's time to move the hell on, you know, especially if you're not being appreciated for the work that you're doing. So the Six of Swords, it is about moving away from conflict and moving into a better situation for yourself and saying goodbye to the past. Goodbye specifically to the pain of the past. But I almost feel like for some of you, this may be a situation here where you really need to start thinking about, you know, is it really worth your time and effort if you're being, you know, treated like, I don't want to say harshly, but like being treated like you don't know what you're doing, and you do, clearly, with the Eight of Pentacles coming through. In your environment, yeah, and it makes sense. I'm telling you, it makes sense. For some of you, this is going to have to do with a work situation. For some of you, you are taking on way too much responsibility. If we're talking about a relationship here, I think that you come through on this being like, yeah, this is new, this is great, I'm super excited, and then you get a little bit bitter because, you know, you're putting so much time and effort into something and somebody just continuing to be like dominant over you, right? But either way here, it makes sense why in the present moment we're looking at the Queen of Swords. Well, it's because she's got too much shit on her back, you know, and then looking at the past of prison, right? You may be carrying somebody else's burdens. You know, there's always that question there with the Ten of Wands. Why are you carrying all of this on your back? You know, is it really necessary? Are you working too hard at something and just feeling weighed down by it? You know? Your hopes and your fears. Wow, the High Priestess. So, you know, the High Priestess, for me, looking at the situation, whether you're talking about work or a relationship, it can suggest here that, first of all, there's a need for you to pay attention to your intuition and what it's telling you, especially with you, you know, carrying all this crap on your back. Or you're looking at a situation where you're hoping that, you know, some information is going to come through here that is going to help you out with this. It's almost like hoping that that unknown information is going to come through. With the High Priestess, you know, too, it could be that you're wanting to protect your own secrets. You know, it just depends here. But it's like, I feel more so like you're hoping that the information that you need is going to come out, right? And it's like you're looking for it with the High Priestess. You know, something that's going to help you with this situation. Wow, Leo, what is happening? Oh, and then the outcome. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. The Seven of Cups, especially if you're dealing with somebody who is being a little bit too dominant here. With the Seven of Cups, you're fantasizing about shit, but not making anything reality. And here's the thing. If you have options in front of you, stop thinking about what you could be doing, and you need to put yourself out there and actually start doing it. You know, and it doesn't seem that heavy, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, you hit it with something really heavy. Jeez. Okay, so first of all, the Seven energy, it's all about timing, right? But really, are you making the best of your time here as far as, you know, the Seven of Cups kicking this off, right? But you may be waiting for the right time, you know, waiting for something to show up, right? With the Seven of Pentacles, you're talking about reevaluating what you have to show for the efforts that you put through. Is it what you really want? You know, is it time to, you know, do something different here to see the growth that you actually want to see? You know, whether, again, this has to do with work or a relationship. With the Five of Wands, don't fear any kind of competition. You know, especially if it comes to, like, applying for different jobs and things like that, right? And this could also point to the internal conflict that's going on about whether or not, do I leave this situation? Do I start changing something here? You know, don't do that to yourself, right? The Five of Wands is not... It's not bad. I mean, compared to the Five of Swords, it's not bad at all. And it's really about you getting on top. You know, it's to me, especially with the Eight of Pentacles, if we're talking about a work situation here, it's saying that there is no reason why you can't rise above the rest, right? But then all of a sudden here, you have death. Now, when you're talking about death and transformation, it's saying that a situation needs to be over with here and you need to change, right? It's all about the changes that you make out of a situation coming to an end. You know, it could be pointing to the fact that you realize that this situation needs to be completely over with. We can't keep rehashing on what we can change and what we can do to make it different because it may never change. But you can. And that's really heavy coming out of this, you know. And it worries me though too with the Seven of Cups being there on whether or not, you know, you're willing to make the change or if it's just too much. It's too much to do right now. And that's why, you know, we're not really choosing something with the Seven of Cups. And then unique gifts. I'm telling you, with the Eight of Pentacles, I'm telling you, you have a talent that is like none other. You know, and you need to start putting those unique gifts into play here and stop fantasizing about what you could be doing and really start making a choice for yourself. It may be a little bit hard and there may be a fear with death being there as far as the changes goes. But I'm telling you, you have something that, you know, is unique compared to everybody else when it comes to this, whether you're talking about a relationship or work. But action, you're going to have to take action here. You need to reconnect with spirit, start paying attention to what your intuition is telling you, and use those unique gifts. Wow, Leo. All right, let's take a look at Whispers of Love and see what messages we can get for you guys as far as relationships go. Appreciate this moment. Each and every situation has an opportunity to grow and find love. Wow. And, you know, it's funny because you guys aren't the only ones to get this, but I look right back at Quest and thinking, you know, your life has meaning right now, like right now, right? It's about the power that you have in the moment, right? So appreciate the moment. Ask for help. What is it you really need help with? Be willing to allow yourself the support you need. So if you need help, especially from a partner, if you're dealing with difficulties at work, right, you need to reach out and ask for that help. And for some of you, it's really about, you know, you making a choice, right? And seeking, you know, that help with what you're dealing with. Because with the Seven of Cups, again, it's like you're not really doing it. But if you did make a choice, you know, and you needed help along the way, it's saying that it would be there for you. But wow, Leo, I mean, it just blows me away that death would be the one that's coming out of this, you know, because that's really heavy. It really speaks to the fact that there may be, you know, a real fear as far as change goes. But then it's also saying that, you know, the only way that things are going to change for you is if you end these situations that you know should be over with, right? And moving on to recreating yourself. And I do think that with the Six of Swords being there, that for some of you, you're going to have to consider really needing to move on from a difficult situation. You know, if you're putting in all this effort here, again, with the Seven of Pentacles, are you really seeing what you want? You know, and stop carrying all these burdens. There's no reason to do that to yourself. Okay, Leo, so what really bothers me about this is the fact that you come into this as the Page of Wands. Super excited. It sounds really good. I'm ready to go. I want to go after this. I'm full of passion. And you start busting your ass towards this and putting in a lot of effort. Now, I think what happens here is that you're either dealing with a power struggle, or you need to get control over what's going on in your own life, or you're dealing with somebody who is breathing down your back. Like seriously watching everything that you do. But then the other thing that I feel like is you are carrying somebody else's bullshit here. Seriously. There is no reason for you to be carrying somebody else's burdens. And it's not fair to you. And that's what I feel like, especially with the Past of Prison coming through and then Quest. Feeling like your life doesn't have meaning right now. And then also carrying somebody else's, you know, heavy burdens here. But then of course also needing to let go of your past. Now, as far as the High Priestess, I look at her and I look back at the Six of Swords and I think, yeah, you need to pay attention to your intuition, especially if it's telling you it's time to go. Because really it's about you moving into a calmer situation for yourself. You know, it's about saying goodbye to the past and the pain of the past and somebody else's past that they may be dropping on you. Now, unfortunately, though, coming out of this, and this is what I worry about, now some of you may be waiting for the right time, which I can understand. But with the Seven of Cups, you're not really making a choice. You're thinking about what could be. You're thinking about how you may not have seen the growth that you wanted and what you can do differently this time, right? But the thing is you're just rehashing the same thing over and over again with the Five of Wands. And there's that internal struggle, and you're not really making a choice, and then all of a sudden, fucking bam, here's death, right? It's over. And what I worry about for some of you is that a situation ends before you've actually had a chance to make a choice. Now, on the other hand, it could definitely be saying that you need to get control of your life here and something needs to be done. And you're going to have to stop putting in your effort into a situation that is not producing the results that you want, right? But again, with death, it's really about you going through that transformation and recreating yourself. And I think that's what's coming through here on the soul trees. Needing to take action to reconnect with spirit and start making the most of your unique gifts. And I think some of you have some gifts that are above and beyond the rest. And it's really about you tapping into that now and making the most of them. Now, as far as appreciate the moment and ask for help, definitely, if you need help, ask for it. But as far as appreciate the moment, your power is in the moment, right? Every opportunity you have here, if you can't make that choice, then definitely ask for the help that you need, because it's better than just staying in la la land, right? But every difficult situation has an opportunity for you to learn from it, right? But I'm telling you, Leo, you can't stay in this position of continuing to put in a lot of effort if you're just being weighed down to nothing and then fantasizing about what could be and then just have situations taken away from you before you get to actually make a choice.